Hi everyone, good morning to all of you. Thank you for your patience and thanks for tuning in. We hope you, your family, and friends continue to stay well, innovative, and disruptive as we progress into the next normal. Welcome to the opening of Star Media Group's CXO 2020. My name is Myra from Star Media Group's award-winning Rage investigative journalism team, and I'm going to be your host for this 4-day live virtual conference. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of you who are currently watching this program from WebEx, Facebook, and YouTube. And on behalf of Star Media Group, I would like to give a special shout out to our sponsors and partners for joining us in making this program a reality. Firstly, our strategic investment partner, Malaysian Investment Development Authority, MIDA, Exabyte partner, IBM, Terabyte partner, AVM Cloud and Integrated Global Solutions, Gigabyte partner, Tata Consultancy Services, Megabyte partners Schneider Electric, Virtual Roundtable partners ServiceNow, Exclusive Briefing partner Privasia, Knowledge partners IDC Kanta and PwC, Mobile Messaging partner Senquick. And this 4-day live virtual conference is produced by eLearning Minds and live on Cisco WebEx. Ladies and gentlemen, CXO 2020 was curated as we believe the age of disruption and the year 2020 is an ultra testing time for our global economy. It is now all about rapid fire innovation on different ways to do more for your client with cutting edge marketing strategy while continuously creating a sustainable future for all. And with this in mind, the CXO 2020 program is designed to spark conversations on each of the key areas during this 4-day period. We will kickstart the opening session today by addressing the program's key theme, the rise of the borderless disruptive innovation. Tomorrow, we will talk about CEO agenda for the digital economy led by our knowledge partner International Data Corporation, IDC. On Thursday, Kanta is anchoring the cutting-edge disruptive marketing in the age of the customer. Lastly, on Friday, we will address sustainability in the age of disruption that is anchored by PwC. And of course, we have an industry panel session on each of these 4 days where some of the industry leading practitioners will be joining us to share their success stories. This is all made possible as we are honored to have the support and to learn from 25 renowned subject matter experts and thought leaders on disruptive innovation who are powering CXO 2020. To learn more about the conference program and profile of our speakers, you may scan the QR code on the top right of your screen or visit bit.ly/CXO 2020. That's bit.ly/STARCXO 2020. I also am excited to share with you that we are running a special daily prize draw during this program, and you can stand a chance to win any of these 4 exciting prizes each day. The Razer Hammerhead wireless earbuds, Sony portable Bluetooth speakers, Google Home Mini, Skull Candy wireless headphones. And all you need to do is join us here on WebEx, stay with us till the end of the program each day, and you will stand a chance to win any of these exciting prizes. All right, first, a few housekeeping matters before we kick off. Firstly, please be patient if you experience any technical glitches. This is a live online event and everyone dials in from different internet bandwidths and devices. For WebEx participants, your microphone and your video cam are turned off by default, but you can chat with our events crew directly if you need any assistance, or you can email us at events@thestar.com.my. Lastly, and most importantly, remember to engage, learn, and enjoy. Without further ado, I am honored to introduce our keynote speaker, Dato Azman Mahmud. He has served in the Malaysian Investment Development Authority for almost 3 decades, and he is currently the Chief Executive Officer of MIDA. Under Dato Azman's leadership, MIDA has been instrumental in attracting investments into the country, building a comprehensive overall ecosystem for sustainable long-term growth for businesses. Dato Azman is also actively re-engineering MIDA's business processes to keep up with the agile ways of working through digitalization. In his opening keynote, you will learn how our government is enabling industry players like yourself as the ultimate drivers to move the country forward. Ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker, Dato Azman Mahmud.
Thank you, Myra. Distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure today to address distinguished business leaders at the CXO 2020 virtual conference. The theme of this conference, Engineering X Factor in the Age of Disruption, fits perfectly with MIDA's ongoing effort to drive Malaysia's digital and industrial agenda forward. I would like to thank the team at the Star Media Group for organizing this long-awaited dialogue despite the extraordinary circumstances that we find ourselves in. The pandemic has compelled some of us to work and live within the confines of our own homes, using online services in everything from getting groceries, completing classes to medical consultations, and boardroom meetings. Businesses are under pressure to adapt quickly to this new normal, and it has accelerated the need for us to leverage digital technologies to develop better business practices and approaches. While this shift is inevitable, I believe all of us have the capacity to rise beyond and move forward on all fronts. Digitalization and automation provides huge opportunities in enabling businesses to become more resilient and competitive. I trust that CXO 2020 will be a beneficial platform in bringing you insights to set attainable action plans towards achieving your business goals. Ladies and gentlemen, as the nation's principal investment promotion and development authority with 53 years of experience in driving Malaysia's investment agenda, MIDA is fully aware that the future is not just shaped by the flow of goods and money from producers to suppliers. There is a consensus that Industry 4.0 provides unlimited opportunities to overcome challenges and bring businesses forward. This is even more apparent given the shift in consumer behavior, business models, new regulations, and supply chain disruptions brought upon by the COVID-19 pandemic. Companies that prioritize on optimizing their operations and innovating their products and services to offer new value to their customers will end up becoming true winners. Specifically, it is exciting to see a new generation of business leaders that have emerged to seize the advantage of low-touch economy, leveraging upon the forced reset of our society to drive new marketplace expectations such as online business meetings, manufacturing of digital products, contactless payments, surveillance and tracking, as well as digital marketing and after sales. Leading by example, MIDA has been aggressively rolling out agile ways of working, particularly by providing more digital services to ease business processes for our stakeholders. This will also enable maximum flexibility and minimum constraints by optimizing performance and to do the work at our best. Just last month, we updated our online module for customs, duties, exemptions applications, or better known as JPC Online Application Module. We have also launched an e-manufacturing license module. The automation of these operations will significantly reduce the processing period for investors enabling them to focus and prioritize on implementing their projects in Malaysia. Essentially, we want to support businesses in redirecting their resources to be more innovative and productive. Ladies and gentlemen, being open to new technologies and practices is a critical competitive differentiator. Businesses not only need to be agile, but they also need to have the foresight to overcome challenges and seize opportunities in today's environment of disruptive technologies and innovation. However, many are unsure of how or where to begin their venture. The government has introduced the Automation Capital Allowance since 2015 to assist manufacturing companies to accelerate the adoption of automation. The incentive, which will expire by 31st December 2023, has now been expanded to include the services sector. As of 23rd July 2020, MIDA has approved a total of 292 applications for Automation Capital Allowance. Based on the impact analysis of 245 projects approved as of December 2019, those companies had invested more than 430 million ringgit in automation machinery and equipment. As a result of these investments, companies reported cost savings due to the reduction of over 3,600 unskilled workers and contributed an average of 180% improvement in production volume. Clearly, automation can bring numerous benefits to companies. We encourage more companies to take advantage of this incentive and scale up your business processes. Furthermore, it will also bring higher value to companies to develop an overall strategy that can achieve a sustainable impact for your organization. Malaysia's industry forward policy is an excellent guide in this regard. Through its industry forward readiness assessment and subsequent intervention fund, the government hopes to help firms assess their capabilities and readiness to adopt Industry 4.0 technologies and processes, understand their present capabilities and gaps, as well as prepare feasible strategies and plans to move forward or move towards effective adoption of Industry 4.0. This represents the first step to ensure companies in Malaysia are in line with the rapidly changing technological landscape while developing new areas of growth. Nonetheless, strategic cooperation is vital to ensure the best success in medium to long term. On 21st May this year, MIDA launched Malaysia's Lighthouse program. Lighthouses refer to industry players that have taken smart manufacturing technology from pilot to integration at scale, thus achieving significant financial and operational benefits. These lighthouses act as beacons to guide the supply chain and others that are still looking to apply technologies like artificial intelligence, additive manufacturing, and advanced analytics, as well as overcome challenges in upgrading existing production systems. This bold and proactive approach will be instrumental in driving our nation's industry forward initiatives towards reality, particularly by supporting existing companies from various industrial sectors to transform and emerge as lighthouses, and ultimately repositioning Malaysia to be among the top global manufacturing nations. I am happy to share that the Lighthouse onboarding program is now open for registration. To date, we have received interest from 53 companies, whereby 16 of them have submitted application. These companies are well represented from various industries such as chemical, electrical and electronics, machinery, food, healthcare, transport, as well as oil and gas. Going forward, MIDA envisions more local companies to be integrated into the wider value chain operations network by embracing agile working mode, big data, decision making, and dynamic customer connectivity solution. This push towards innovation and operational efficiency will benefit Malaysia's economic ecosystem as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to adapt to changes to remain relevant. Technology megatrends like automation and digitalization are here to stay. The only way to go is forward. And the government wants to ensure that Malaysia's business ecosystem moves as smoothly as possible in adopting the fourth industrial revolution. It must not only be competitive and progressive, but inclusive and sustainable as well. Workers must benefit from the new opportunities that industry transformation brings. To achieve this, our workforce needs to be developed together with the transformation of our industries. We will need concerted efforts from all parties, including leaders from public and private sectors, in building a future-proof workforce. This can be driven by initiatives undertaken in collaboration with the industry, such as retooling the education system and investing further in training. The government is also committed in helping all levels of workforce to adapt and grow. The National Short-Term Economic Recovery Plan, or well known as PENJANA, offers various related allocations such as 2 billion for reskilling and upskilling programs for the youth and unemployed workers, providing one-to-one matching fund of 250 million ringgit to co-fund, place and train as well, undertaking public-private collaborations on upskilling in sectors such as E&E and ICT for key investors. By investing time and effort in upgrading our talent pool, it will only create win-win outcomes for all of us as Malaysia becomes a more fertile ground for companies to grow and increase in competitiveness to meet future challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, grand visions will only remain a vision if no actions are taken. Let us make hay while the sun shines and take advantage of the opportunities that arise in this present situation. Use this time to identify best practices and implement what works in your favor to take your business to greater heights. Embrace the inevitable and rise as leaders of tomorrow. Someone's going to do it, why not you? Automation and digitalization can work, and it is up to us to find ways in bringing maximum value to our stakeholders, our organizations, and the economy. MIDA is ever ready to provide the necessary support to improve the adoption of the industry-forward initiatives towards enabling the business environment in Malaysia to be more productive, efficient, and competitive. With that, I wish everyone a successful conference ahead, and thank you.
Hi, thank you so much, Dato. We have a few questions for you. The first is from Charmaine. Is it encouraged for SMEs to register for the Malaysia Lighthouse onboarding?
We encourage all levels to register with us. What we can do is, if you understand our program, there are two types or two approaches. Number one is, the company itself become the lighthouse as like a stage one, and the next step is the company and the supply chain will become the lighthouse as well. So you can choose, perhaps for those new entrants or new participants, you can register and be one of MIDA's lighthouse participant in the program. So no problem.
Thank you so much for that, Dato. Second question from SL Ng. How to qualify and participate as one of the lighthouses?
Well, actually, it is the company themselves. If they are willing to take up the challenge to be the lighthouse, so you can register, and our team can give some guidance and guidelines on how to become one of the lighthouse. Perhaps it may not be immediately starting adopting the what you call the pillars of Industry 4.0. Perhaps you can start with the initiative to do automation, to be to create that readiness to adopt or to adapt Industry 4.0, some of the pillars that is being promoted.
Thank you so much for your answers to the questions. For everyone out there who's been watching, please do ask, if you have any more further questions, do ask us in the comment section. I'll try to get back to you later. So thank you so much, Dato, for your time with us. We will move on with the event. See you guys later. Thank you once again, Dato' Azman. It is a great honor to have heard your speech. Also, it is a great solace that he impressed upon the importance of innovation and also told us, what kind of services and products that the government and MIDA can reach out in order to help us brace through these trying times. But that's not our last speaker of today. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is the Managing Director of IBM Malaysia. Ms. Catherine joined IBM in April 2019 from Dell Technologies, where she has worked since 1998. Aside from being an active advocate for women in leadership, Catherine leads the IBM Malaysia team to help clients, partners, and key stakeholders put smart to work in their organizations by applying IBM's leading AI or cognitive solutions, cloud platform, and industry capabilities to advanced digital transformation. Today, Catherine will be sharing with us how businesses can embrace cloud and AI to emerge stronger and more resilient post-crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Catherine Lian.
A very good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to be able to speak to you today at CXO 2020 conference. I would like to begin by thanking the Star Media Group for their kind invitation. Today, I'll be speaking about empowering business in the new normal era with cloud and AI. The COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated the digital transformation and modernization journey for businesses and governments across the globe like nothing before in history. If there's anything the COVID-19 pandemic has taught us, it's critical importance of technology solutions that enable speed, flexibility, insight, and innovation. In fact, choosing which technology platforms power your businesses is the most sequential decision you can make, proving without question the imperative nature of cloud and AI technologies for business resiliency and recovery. No industry left untouched by the effect of COVID-19 pandemic this year. Currently, most of our business partners are thinking about how to use technology to reaccess and to reimagine modes of consumption, supply, interactions, and even productivity. They are looking for long-term, long-lasting answers on what they can do with technology to address the key issues that COVID-19 has brought to light. These include, how can supply chains become even more resilient to resist global shocks? How do I manage the demand, the fluctuations across categories while addressing a massive surge in non-contact channels for my customers and suppliers, even in the government sectors? How can I secure my IT infrastructure to enable remote working? Businesses must emerge with a plan on how they can move, then accelerate, and ideally leapfrog in their digital transformation to reopen. And this is critical, this is vital, and this is now. Businesses should also take this opportunity to relook automating businesses' processes to minimize the future business disruptions. The what comes next is key. And so, how do we indeed genuinely act at a pace to transform digitally? Now, the pandemic has really been a turning point for governments, industries, and businesses in Malaysia. In businesses, the disruptions can be created, and it is a creation of opportunities for companies to emerge, to grow and even leapfrog from the competition to the competition with the competition. Businesses now must scale so fast to meet the demands of a decentralized workforce. In our COVID-19, we know that the outline of framework around the key business imperatives can help organizations build up strategies to address the new challenges that come into the wake of this pandemic. What are you doing for your organizations? And how are you thinking of empowering the remote workforce? Now, when we actually talk about the issues that we face today, the empowerment of remote workforce, engagement of customers virtually, remote access to everything, even at workplace, now remotely at home, acceleration of agility and efficiency, protection against new cybersecurity risk, and the reduction of operational costs and enhancement of supply chain continuity is the norm of today. And I encourage all of you to actually embrace and to think about how we thrive and to transform in this era. COVID-19 has indeed accelerated the need for transformation journey. And we want to now embrace the public and the hybrid cloud today. Can we just take on this moment in history as of an opportunity? Now we laser focus on our reopen of our business priorities. We are more agile. We harness the power of distributed workforce, and we engage our customers in the new and the innovative ways, and emerging stronger and more resilient in our post-crisis. This is where IBM will help you run in through our turning point in where we structured through with the governments, with the industries, and the businesses across. Now, let's look at the technology and business coverage. As enterprise gain more experience and the trust with cloud, as AI also matures, we are entering into the second chapter of the cloud and the cognitive era, where technology will really be an aspect of all organizations and businesses. Leading in this new chapter requires enterprises to be more deliberate in their efforts. I'll give you some examples. Many enterprises started by innovating their customers' experience with cloud, where it was easier to build new things without having tackled to their technical debt. On-premise, public cloud, hybrid cloud, which is the fourth platform of IBM's strategy today. As a key part of this, shifting your stance from experimenting to figure out what's possible, what's valuable in our digital and AI, let us figure out how do we embed and scale this value in your organization, getting from digital and AI to even shifting to cloud. Now, going deeper into the core of the business, what scaling, what works, naturally means that turning into a mission-critical workloads which enterprise now have the experience to take on. And the technical foundation for this innovation will be a hybrid cloud approach that establishes a common environment across all your environments, all the public clouds you use and all the private clouds, your traditional on-prem servers. Now, let's talk about what we actually call as the technology enterprise now and what are the opportunities that can stimulate. A better human experience has been the driver of consumer-led innovations, just referenced. Better applications, better performance, better technology, better use of lifetime, and better information. For wherever you are at home or at work, the expansion of the address of the core parts of how enterprise works will be able to create improvements, and we couldn't have actually done it without the changing of the user interface. Meanwhile, better business outcomes, as always, will fuel this transformation, the new value with AI, improvements in time to market, and other KPIs, and the better data for smarter decisions in the process. Now let's talk about IR 4.0. When we actually look at this field of transformation, when the explosion of the digital transformation data has been made, the new value of AI and cloud has actually moved up the chain. As use cases grow across the landscape, data is starting to indicate progress, And these dual imperatives improved customer satisfaction. Now, pleasing both user and suppliers. We have improved operations, pleasing both workers and employees, and improved sales, definitely on the prospects and for the seller. Now, according to Forbes Insights, 20% better of customer sets with AI are actually innovation around at IBM. In the meantime, the opportunity is known. Studies after studies has shown that business leaders are on board with AI and they're integral to the future success. But the very, very few are past their early days of inception, perhaps still chapter 1 for many. Now, according to Gartner, as of this opportunity, $3.9 trillion in these business values has been indicated in the next 3 years. And I encourage you to actually think about how we can achieve better business outcomes and faster time to market in your respective organizations and also associations. If a better human experience and a better business outcomes are the why, as measured by things like employee engagement, new levels of productivity, new ways to compete, and how enterprises achieve those is by transformation of new kind of organization. And this is why, and this is how we call it as cognitive enterprise. And what is cognitive enterprise? It is infused with actionable data, the natural resource that will fuel growth in the 21st century. Guided by the best AI to offer, when the insights of AI derive from data and differentiated capabilities from exponential technology are embedded into smarter workflows. Technically nimble by design, with increasingly flexibility to infrastructure built for the change of the adaptability, using open source to hybrid cloud technology. And the explosion of the cognitive enterprise is where it is today. Now, let's look at some specifics on how IBM Cloud Solutions has built to transform industries. Specific industries might require certain feature set and compliance and assurance when moving to cloud. And we at IBM, we have developed a specialized cloud solutions to address this. Let me give you a couple of examples globally. IBM Cloud for Financial Services. We have recently announced our collaboration with two of the biggest banks in the world, Bank of America and BNP Paribas. Together with Bank of America, we have made significant progress advancing the IBM Cloud for Financial Services, bringing us one step closer to establishing a trusted platform for the industry. In IBM Public Cloud, equipped with industry-leading encryption capabilities, is the enterprise cloud for all highly regulated industries. IBM Cloud for Financial Services enables financial institutions and in Malaysia to be able to accelerate to the core systems and to the future ready of the financial institutions. IBM Cloud has also run through a cognitive, and it is a cloud of a 5G edge computing for the telco industry. IBM Solutions for the 5G and edge computing provides an autonomous management offering that addresses the scale, variability, and the rate of change in the edge of environments. The IBM Cloud Satellite, we call it, gives you the ability to use IBM Cloud services anywhere, on IBM Cloud, on-premise, and on the edge, delivered as the service team for a single pane of glass controlled through the public cloud. Now, this is really an exciting time for IBM with all the certain features that we have actually set forth and all the examples that I've given to you. It is really a fourth era of platform, and we are actually marching into the IBM Cloud strategy today. And with the combination of IBM Cloud, with the enablement of our 5G edge, and with the IBM Cloud Satellite that we have launched, it really gives organization service deliverals, and most of all, on the autonomous management that the company needs today. What more in time like this? Let me just go through with you on the right solutioning of technologies, and that really can help companies to navigate uncertainty and to adapt to the changing conditions, that we have actually become more resilient, enabling speed, flexibility, innovation, and insights. Those embracing cloud and AI technologies today, we are able to use this moment as an opportunity to laser focus and to really reorder through our business priorities. We are more agile, we harness the power of distributed workforce and engagement of the customers in new, innovative ways, emerging stronger and more resilient post-crisis. And the digital transformation 2.0 is now, and I seize all the opportunities and encourage the organizations to really think about what is the right technology solutions for your company. Now, as we emerge stronger post-COVID-19, we believe that these are the 5 areas that can deliver immediate impact and value in sustaining mission, most importantly, mission-critical functions of your organizations. They are enhance IT resiliency and business continuity while empowering your remote workforce, engage all customers virtually, and stabilize to protect and support channels. Ensure that supply chain in your organization with a lot of continuity through reconfiguration of your IT and your offering. Most of all, your business operations is all about CAPEX and OPEX strategy control now. Forecasting, supplier management, and cybersecurity above all is the most critical key that you need to consider for your organization. Next is the drive of the rapid cost to take out really on the initiatives and to reduce operational costs. Now, when we actually talk about operational costs, there are many pillars that you may want to consider. Procurement, lead to cash, apps modernization even in the migration of cloud. It really depends on where is the biggest and largest spend in your organization today. Lastly, protect your data, applications and networks. And when we talk about cybersecurity, it is now, it is a fact. And most of all, let us be resilient to ensure that the networks that we have, the exposure that we are using on public cloud platform today is an opportunity for us to enable and to counter through cyber attacks. Cognitive enterprise is a fueling of next levels of excellence. And what I want to share today is that it is really IBM's vision to be the orchestrator to our clients in the cognitive enterprise journey. The reinvention business to a cognitive enterprise requires trusted data, intelligent workflows, exponential technologies, and the most important pillar of all is people, where it actually requires reskilling of people and upskilling of resources. We need to really make sure that we deliver a better human experience for your workforce, for your clients, through richer and more insightful interactions. Achieve a better business outcomes by unlocking new value, accelerating time to market, enabling better decisions that you make for your organizations and your enterprises today. IBM has been a significant player in every stage of evolution in the information technology for over 100 years when it was first formed. And it is a trusted partner for clients across the world for their digital transformation journey. Just some statistics that I would like to share with the audience today. Do you know that 9 out of 10 credit card transactions happening every second across the world is processed by IBM platforms? Do you know that 97% of our biggest banks around the world are powered by IBM? And more than 80% of our world's travel reservations, telecommunication companies, and retailers have partnered with IBM to continuously transform their businesses to face new challenges and develop new growth areas in the businesses and in the platform that they want to invent through. IBM Malaysia has grown leaps and bounds since we have started here in 1961 to become a recognizable brand in the corporate sector and in the enterprise industry. Over the past 4 decades, the company has played a major role in delivering solutions, and Malaysian businesses across the industries has stepped into our evolution of information technology, and the digital transformation journey is really a true, recognizable journey that we are partnering with our corporate, our sectors, industries, and government today. IBM Malaysia also continued to collaborate with the Penang Island City Council or Majlis Bandara Pulau Pinang in accelerating the Penang Smart City initiatives in AI, in cloud, in blockchain, and in IoT. And we at IBM Malaysia are committed to continue to drive these initiatives with the public sectors to actually accelerate through all the initiatives transforming Malaysia, transforming rakyat of Malaysia. IBM collaborates with Smart Modular Technologies, a manufacturing company that's based out of Prai, Penang, to evangelize and also to realize the Industry 4.0 in Penang. I'm really proud to share with you that Smart Modular Technologies has been a great partnership where we have been sharing through our knowledge transfer, building up their manufacturing plant to enable robots with AI to run the manufacturing process. And we continue to lead the way in the IR 4.0 industry initiatives across here in Malaysia, with a lot of other initiatives that we are driving with the manufacturing and the electronics and electric sectors. And we have also collaborated with our clients in Hong Leong Bank and also Malaysia Airlines to infuse our AI into their customer relationship and their offerings management. IBM Malaysia has a big team of a highly skilled certified technical and consultancy resource. They are certified in broad ranges of key technological focus areas. IBM Malaysia is also providing a new workforce of the future. We have a stronger, ready technical skill sets that will adjust to the country's new transformation journey. We have collaborated with more than 10 public and private tertiary institutions of the future of the workforce to enable and to make sure that we are ready. Now, these private and tertiary institutions are a strong collaboration to ensure that we are able to provide the future and the stronger journey for the tomorrow of the future. IBM has collaborated also with Ministry of Education and MDEC. Recently, in November 2019, we have launched the Pathway to Technology, or we call it the PTech program, to address the digital skills shortage in Malaysia. We are actually fortunate to be able to partner with Ministry of Education, and we have piloted this program in 2 vocational schools in Sepang and in Sungai Buloh. And we believe with the collaboration with Ministry of Education and MDEC, we will build the new collars of tomorrow in Malaysia. And this will be an enhanced skill sets and consultancy resource that is very much required in this country. IBM Malaysia will be offering cloud and AI transformation assessment to all clients in Malaysia as a program. Now, under the Center of Digital Excellence Code in Plaza IBM, we aspire to help SMEs across the country to get you started, to accelerate your transformation journey. And we really encourage all the startup companies to come in to really partner with IBM to offer through the cloud and AI transformation assessment. And this is where we will actually be committed to drive the skill force of tomorrow, to drive the SMEs companies to have a broader range adoption of our key technology to focus and to build the better of tomorrow. This is where the embracing of technology is where IBM is committed to drive the technology skill sets and to actually adjust through to the country's new transformation journey. For IBM Malaysia, the goal is really to help the government and more Malaysian companies like yourself to survive and emerge stronger in the post-COVID-19 crisis by leveraging its digital prowess. It is IBM's mission. We want to consistently support the government's vision to develop a knowledge-based digital society and to transform a high-income nation through the socialization of transformative technologies. This is possible with the availability of IBM's range of cognitive solutions from cloud to AI to IoT to blockchain to security that can run even on both your platform, on the sectors and the aspirations. And this is to deliver a high value to the respective constituents. We are embracing our role as a trusted technology partner in designing and in deploying the technologies that can help the Malaysian businesses not only navigate this crisis, but begin operating more efficiently, more sustainably, and most of all, keeping all abreast for the equitable of the people. IBM Malaysia works with public and private agencies such as MDEC, Invest KL, MITI, Mampu, MIDA, and more to support the government's objectives of preparing Malaysian businesses for the challenges and opportunities arising from trade liberalization and globalization. In closing, in IBM perspective, the right technology solutions can really help companies to navigate uncertainty, adapt to changing conditions, enabling speed, flexibility, innovation, and insights. Our transformation journey has begun. What about you? In fact, choosing which technology platforms power your businesses is the most sequential decisions you can make for your organizations. Those who are embracing AI, public and hybrid cloud today are able to use this moment in history as an opportunity to laser focus and reorder business priorities. We know that we are more agile, we can harness the power of distributed workforce, engage their customers in new and innovative ways, emerging stronger and more resilient post-crisis. In conclusion, we bring the whole of IBM to our engagements with clients in Malaysia, from the start to the finish, from providing leading-edge technology to solution designing, to project implementation, and to delivery with the best service and support that we provide across Malaysia. Thank you and have a good day. Please do stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you once again, Catherine. It is a great honor, and thank you so much for expanding our consciousness towards the idea of cognitive environments using data-driven multi-cloud systems to create a better user human experience for your customers, as well as giving a hand out to all SMEs and startups to create a better business for tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up next is our first panel discussion. At this panel, we have with us 4 seasoned business leaders of different business backgrounds who are no stranger to the industry. Today, innovation is rapidly expanding across the world. Our panel will discuss about bridging East and West innovation capabilities and market demands to innovate the X factor in the industry. Our first guest panelist is one of the founding members of Privasia Group and was appointed the Group Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of Privasia Group in May 2009. Bhuvanesan Subitharan is also a member of the Young Presidents Organization and the president of the Industry Entrepreneurs in the Malaysian chapter. Our second guest panelist has 25 years of financial services experience covering investment banking, wholesale, Islamic and digital banking. Rajate Maimuna is currently Managing Director of Wholesale Banking for MBank Group. Prior to her current appointment, she was the Managing Director and CEO of Hong Leong Islamic Bank and COO of Digital Innovation and Transaction Banking at the Hong Leong Banking Group. Our third guest panelist has 16 years of experience with MIDA. Currently, Nur Hizam Ibrahim is a Director in Advanced Technology and Research and Development Division. His role in MIDA focuses on identifying trends, new and emerging technology such as smart manufacturing or Industry 4.0, as well as new businesses suitable for Malaysia's industry and business ecosystem. Lastly, but not least, our panel moderator, Professor Loredana Padurian, is the Associate Dean and Faculty Director for Action Learning at Asia School of Business, which is a collaboration between MIT Sloan School of Management and Bank Negara Malaysia, the Central Bank of Malaysia. She is also an International Faculty Fellow at MIT. She is a global keynote speaker, and her in-demand "Nail It, Scale It, Sail It" is a popular TEDx talk. This is definitely a power-packed panel. Are you guys as excited as I am? If you are, please let us know down in the comment section below or in the chat box. Before I hand over to Prof. Loredana, just a gentle reminder that if you have any questions for our panel, please type it in the chat box or in the comment section if you're on Facebook or YouTube, and we will address it at the end of the panel. All right, so the panel is currently getting ready, and we'll be back to you in a short while, so please stay tuned.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Star. It is such a pleasure to be here with you today. First, before we get started, I just want to be sure that we thank everybody for being here. Special thanks to The Star for hosting this amazing event. And without further ado, I would like to introduce the outstanding speakers that we have today for this panel. And I have to say, it's such a joy to be physically in person, right? This is I think the first time I'm not behind the screen. I mean, we're behind this screen, but we are in person. We could almost touch each other, which we're not going to do because it's not appropriate in the MCO rules. But my name is Professor Loredana Purian. It's my pleasure to be here with you today. Like the announcer said, I'm with Asia School of Business, which is an MIT Sloan Bangalore collaboration. And I'm very proud to say today we're going to talk about disruptive innovation and disruptive innovation across borders. Can I brag a little bit before we get started and to let you know that the Asia School of Business MBA program that is here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, has received twice nominations for being the most innovative MBA program in the world. So as a local, in case you can't tell, I am Malaysian by now, I'm from Bukit Tungku. I'm very, very proud to say that we have the most innovative MBA program in the world today. So with me today, we have these amazing speakers. Each of them are going to tell you a little bit more about themselves. They have already been introduced by our moderator today of the STAR. But let me just say it's my pleasure to have Dr. Raja for MBank, right? We have Mr. Hizam from MIDA, and we have Mr. Puva from Privasia. I'm trying to learn this name, so give me a little bit of a break. Without further ado, today we are talking about transformation, digital disruption, innovation, disruption across borders. So I want to start with a quote. One of my favorite disruptors, which is Steve Jobs, said something which is really interesting, and allow me to read it so I don't misquote him. Steve Jobs said, "I have a great respect for incremental improvement. And I've done that sort of thing in my life. But I've always been more attracted to revolutionary changes. I don't know why. Because they are harder, they require much more stress emotionally. And usually when you go through a period where everybody tells you they're not going to work and you're going to completely fail." So today we're not just being disrupted by the digital world, but we're being disrupted as we speak by the realities of COVID. And like Steve Jobs said, disruption is hard. Is going to take a major emotional toll on you. And speaking of very hard things, I'm going to start with a very brave person that I've met today. We spent about 15 minutes together, and that made me realize that she's probably one of the bravest bankers which I've met in my life. I don't know if that's a contradiction in terms, if you can be brave and a banker. But Dr. Raja, speaking of that, allow me to start with you and say that banks have a little bit of a bad rap for not being very innovative. Is that correct? And also for being a little bit lagging behind fintechs. Would you care to start with commenting on that and tell us a little bit about what was your experience as one of the leaders of MBank going through the past few months, and what's your take on digital transformation and disruptive innovation in general?
Thanks for that, Prof. And I'd like to congratulate you on the award at the school. That's great. You're not wrong. I must say that banks in general and globally tend to initially look at fintechs as just small little players on the side, nothing for us to worry about, and therefore the banks felt that their God-given right essentially to run the financial industry, and didn't move very far ahead. The challenge that what happened is in the last few years is that the banks then came to realize that the small little fintechs were not after the big banking business. They were just interested in the smaller, profitable side of the businesses. And so they were chipping away the smaller, non-balance sheet heavy kind of business. And then banks started to think, okay, maybe I should, also do something about it. So there is a lot of them actually say, okay, we got to do something. We got to innovate too. But the reality is, most of the banks aren't able to move very far, and it's not because of want of technology at all. It is largely the mindset. So the challenge that I see within the industry is the ability to unlearn and relearn and do something completely different. Because banks generally are very clunky, our infrastructure is clunky, and whereas the fintechs are now using, I think Puva will be able to share, a nimble kind, more agile kind of infrastructure, and we've not been able to move into that direction. And so for me, I mean, the journey has started close to a decade now, and I remember, in the early days when I motioned it in the previous bank I was working at, the challenge I had was really getting everybody on board. So I used to have this organization chart that I would share with people. I would call them the chief skeptic officers and the chief resistant officers. Really, that's really what it is, because we have money, and we're certainly not wanting new technology. So it's very much in the mindset.
Thank you for that. As you were speaking, I was thinking, what type of chief officer am I? I don't think I'm a skeptical. I think I'm a disruptor. But I have to say, for the past, actually more than 2 years, I had a lot of conversations with very large or very small companies across Malaysia and beyond. And everybody talks about digital transformation and disruptive innovation, and they all want physical tools. They think that transformation is something that you buy from companies like yours, Puva, right? But what I've been saying for over 2 years now, it starts with the people. It starts with the mindset, and it starts with somebody what's your chief officer status? Are you the chief bold officer, Raja, something like that? So you have to go through a people transformation before you go into physical transformations. So Puva, you're in the field of technology and communication. Your company operates in a space that a lot of people said was very well placed for the disruption that COVID brought. Was COVID a godsend gift to your industry? What was your experience of going through, and what's your take on disruptive innovation?
Thank you, Professor. So for an industry like ours, I think traditionally we took our time as well. We invested a lot in heavy infrastructure, and we always thought of other players as competitors. When we build a solution, it's very focused for one buyer, and we didn't care about the ecosystem around them. I think now it's moving to us building platforms and solutions where we take into consideration the needs of all the stakeholders for a customer. So because we're building ecosystems, the way that we look at our competitors is it's moved away from competition, because we need to move fast, to collaboration. I think a lot of people in our industry realize that we need to work with the people around us, because we can't be experts at everything. And we got to deliver a service fast, cheap, and easy to adapt for people. So I think that's why in the fintech space, I think they worked that way before. That's why a lot of them chipped in, and there's a lot of mergers and collaborations. So our industry is moving away from competition, more to collaboration.
That's so interesting. In the break before we got started, we were just chatting, and Raja, you mentioned how the space of collaboration. I know we didn't talk about this question, but it's so telling on what we just talked before. That in the banking world, we are so used to see other banks as competitors. What's your take on this? You were talking about how we need to move from this to...
Yeah, because banks traditionally have always been, these are my customers, this is my proprietary infrastructure, everything is mine, I build myself because I have lots of money. But the whole idea of the fintech today is exactly like what Puva said, is a platform. Everybody must collaborate. So when I talk about mindset, the things that the financial industry must embrace is, within the mindset is the mindset of collaboration. You have to, because you cannot be good at everything. And then the most important thing is you no longer own the customer. The customer is no longer going to say, I'm going to bank with you till the day I die, right? Because there's no real brand loyalty. Everything is about whoever that gives you the best convenience and stuff. So if that guy does something better than I do, we should allow them to come into the platform, and together we will be able to give 10 things to our customers. Now maybe if you bank with a particular bank, that bank can give you 3 services. But if you use the platform, you might be able to do 10 things. You might be able to even hail a ride, order your food on a banking app.
Wouldn't that be great?
That would be great, yeah.
I have 7 apps on my phone to do very similar transactions. I have to say, I would rather not do that. Why do I have to? I'm not an M-Bank client, by the way, so this is not a pitch. But what I'm saying is, I would rather have the M-Bank app that allows me to go, shopping on Shopify, order my food, get my Grab, right? I think what we're seeing today from the private sector is we're seeing a lot of disruptive innovation. But I think both of you talked about the need of having collaborative platforms, right, that allow you as a private player to, in a way, shop in the same pond, right, or fly from the same pond. So let's talk about the government right now. We have one government expert here. Don't worry, you are safe. This is a safe place, even though we are from a private perspective here. When we hear all these comments about disruptive innovation, about transformation, about mindset, your job at MIDA is very hard because you have to create, if you want, a narrative that attracts foreign investment in the country, but at the same time you have to look at the local platform, the local offerings, and say this is what we have versus this is what we should have. So when you look at what foreign investment is interested in, what do you think? What do you think Malaysia, or what do you think that the private sector and the public sector in Malaysia should focus towards? What's the next thing?
Okay, thanks, Lorena. Thanks, Prof. So I'd like to rectify a few things. Here in MIDA, we promote not only foreign direct investment, we also promote domestic direct investment.
Correct. I'm sorry about that.
We also ensure that regional development is being taken care of so that the wealth equality is being shared among all the regions. So the industry transformation journey started in 60s, 70s with the 8 samurais. We started to focus on import substitution, labor intensive, then we moved to heavy industry, and then we go into high-tech industry promotion. Next will be on focusing on service sector, and here we are at the phase of 4IR and industry 4.0 adoption. So there's a lot of exciting things going on. Where you see, last time we used to do promotion of investment, we look at factors like whether this kind of products or activities are being promoted in our promoted list or not. But comes 4IR or industry 4.0, things that is no longer sexy in the past becomes relevant right now. You have a situation where, for example, like Adidas, they close shop in China and they open back in Germany. Why? Because they can afford not to look into labor intensity and leverage on technology. So that is happening right now. So I'm trying to say right now, the industry, the type of project that we can afford to say, no, probably you can go to the more labor intensive countries. But now, because of the avenue where we can leverage on technology adoption, those projects are becoming, probably that is the thing that we can also look at. So those that are not so being under our priority sector become could do. So with all these elements, for example, like you have all the white goods, refrigerators, all the kitchen, those are no longer a thing for Malaysia in the past. But now with all the advent of 4IR, all the elements of IoT, technology, big data, analytics, it becomes a smart device. And together with it, of course, you want the project manager to have the elements, smart manufacturing. So that become a sustainable thing for us now. So I'm trying to say, whatever things come into the picture, it become an opportunity for us. So we could look at areas that we don't want, but we can also be looking at, we have to go deep dive and look at what are the things that we could look at, what the country can give more values. And for the past, since last 2 years, the government has announced the industry 4.0 policy to encourage more of our industrial players to adopt industry 4.0. So what is being mentioned by all of you, there are 3 elements that we could look at. We look at technology; those are very close to us. Where when we attract kind of project that we want to be in Malaysia, whether from FDI or DI, the technology element is important. We could also look at the processes element, where existing industry, how we can ramp them up to be relevant and still be in existence. But the only thing that we have to focus right now is the people factor. That's where you talk about the change of mindset, because now we have the level of maturity is at different level. For multinational, of course, we don't have to teach them; they already know because of their exposure. But for our SMEs, that is where a lot of work needs to be done.
One of my favorite expressions is, and I think everybody who knows me or they've been through ASB heard me say this 100 times, is the job is easy, the people are not. So the truth is that no matter how much you want to talk about disruptive innovation, technology transformation, until the people are there, you're not going to be able to do it. All the chief skeptical officers that you mentioned, every single one of us has one of this person in the company, or we are this person in the company. We also have to realize that, right? Puva, you're a technology expert. How do you how do you feel when we talk about people stuff? Do you see that in your field?
So, I think the people stuff is very close to our heart, right? We have to accept that even though I live and breathe technology, technology is just a tool. It's a means to get you to where you are. So, you know, for us, when we invest in anything that we do, it's, you know, we'll tell people that we're investing in blockchain, IR 4.0, different technologies. But the truth is we try to invest in transparency, speed of getting data, the authenticity of data, and then the tools to analyze and for the users to take a call of action. Everything that we invest in actually has the user and people at heart. So, you know, you spoke about Steve Jobs, and, you know, he's also one of my favorite, you know, disruptors, innovator. Anything that he built had the user at heart, and, you know, the people stuff is very, very important to us.
Thank you so much. Speaking of disruptors, I think, like I said, I've known Raja for 15 minutes now, and I think of her as a disruptor. So I'm going to come to you with a people question. And allow me to quote somebody else again. It's not necessarily somebody I admire very much, but I think this quote is interesting. So Jeff Bezos from Amazon, and the reason why I don't admire him very much is I'm not sure he's very good with people, but he's very good with the other stuff. He said, being customer focused allows you to be more pioneering. And one of the things that I teach a lot in my strategy courses is that the closer you are to the customer in the value chain, the more potential for disruption you have, because you're very close to listening to the voice of the customer. So speaking of mBank, speaking of SME, speaking of the value of people, Raja, how much is your job focused on listening to customers versus, in a way, doing what Steve Jobs did, which is anticipating what the customers want? Because I don't think Steve Jobs listened that much to the customer as much as he observed the customers very carefully.
Well, I have to take one step back here with regards to how banks in general have always been operating. We've always been delivering products. So what we do is we create products and we sell it to you. And so now my mantra to the team is we're not selling products anymore. We have to sell experiences. And that is a real big change for the product developer, because guess what? We used to build them in a tiny shack and we don't talk to anybody. So the first time I set up a customer experience lab was a few years ago. And we had already a product in hand. But after we went through this lab with 25, you know, potential target customers, the product changed by 50% in design, which shows that we actually didn't know what they needed. What is it that they require and what is it that makes sense to them? So what Puva said is very, very, it's something that I have to keep saying all the time. And, you know, I don't have a great quote, but my quote to my guys is, you know, if you cannot think out of the box, you have to burn your box down or get somebody, hire from somebody outside your box. So that was also something that we did. We started hiring non-bankers. We started hiring people from different parts of the industry, because banking is not just about financial services. You don't wake up in the morning and say, great, today I'm going to do going to get some banking done. Is that what you think? No, right? Hey, today I'm going to buy myself a nice pair of shoes. So we're just supposed to be the enabler to your experience of buying that shoes. So the whole UI, UX thing, as much as banks always say, we listen to you, building it for you, truly the concept of CX, or then the whole UI UX, is not embedded in the DNA. Though I must say today, I'm very encouraged to say the industry as a whole, globally, you'll see some big banks who have actually done a pretty good job now to be able to think out of the box, burn the old box down, and bring people from outside. So we've actually got people who are from the FMCG side, people selling cosmetics and stuff like that, whom banks would not have hired, ordinarily so.
We already have some questions from the audience, so I'm on a question thread here. Feel free to text us or send us questions. I have a question for all three of you before I ask this question, which is, I hear a lot about how we need to transform our mindsets, how we need to forget about boxes. I have to say, I feel like I've heard this for the past 15 years of my life, and there's still a lot of boxes around us. It's easier to think outside of box if you never believed there was a box to start with. Since I'm an educator and my job is to think forward and think about what are the skills that I need to infuse my students to be ready for this disruption, allow me to start with Puva, and I'll actually ask each and every one of you to think about, tell me as an educator, tell us as educators, what skills are you looking for? And what type of, if you want, formal or informal education somebody needs today to be a true disruptor in the bank. And I'm so inspired by what you just said, Raja, that we don't have to think that we need to hire bankers. But what are these type of people that we need for disruptive innovation?
So, like for an industry like mine, training, everybody takes it for granted because you usually train for a technical skill. But as we, Raja just now mentioned, customer experience is very important. As we try and build solutions for our customers, for example, if you build an online solution, we want the customer to get where they are with 3 clicks. Nobody needs to train them to do it. So we find the talent that is a bit tough for us to go and look out for are people who are a bit more creative and good at communication and a bit more entrepreneurial about how they do it. So,
Isn't that amazing that a technology expert wants creative, out-of-the-box thinking people? Yeah. Again, the job is easy, the people are not, right? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's so good.
Yeah, so communication is very important for us. Because of the field that we're in, we can't plan when you communicate to your customer. So you need our services and products to be able to speak and win to the customer over. So we're looking for those kind of skill sets.
I recently experienced the product, and it came with a manual this thick. And I thought, do I really need to read 300 pages to understand how my oven works? So I think this product design intuition that you also mentioned, Raja, has to be done by people who have to think like the users, right? What's your take on what's the future skill that we need, the present skill that we need actually, because the future is now.
I also have to put, and being enterprising or having a very entrepreneurial approach is very key, because then you would own it as opposed to being part of like a big organization like ours, right? A bank. The other thing is I would like, and I actually encourage my daughter who's doing computer science to actually minor in behavioral psychology, because then you will understand your user, your target audience. So right now, if you come as a cookie cutter kind of guy, you're either, I don't know, a lawyer or an accountant and stuff like that, and you're trying to sell something and you don't understand your target audience. You know why Steve Jobs was very successful? Honestly, it was about behavioral psychology. That was what he was able to read. And if we can, and you look at all these amazing brands have re-engineered themselves. I take Burberry because, that's a very old brand. It was something that my parents used to use, and I wouldn't be seen wearing Burberry back when I was 20 years old. But my kids today think it's so funky. Why? Because they were able to re-engineer and think about the next generation. Just because what works in mine may not work in the next few guys. And for a business to work, we have to understand that our inventory actually come from different generation, right? So the Gen Z and like my children have never walked into a bank branch at all in their lives. They actually open an account, but they don't live in this country, but they open an account entirely online. And the eldest one attempted to walk into a high street branch and was given a really hard time. And she said, you know what? I can do this with this digital bank. And the point is, that high street branch is, I think, a 200-year-old bank. You're going to lose all these 20-year-olds, right? So how are you going to still be here 20 years from now when this girl has decided you're not the bank for her? So which is why one of the skills that I like to see is those who are able to, the psychology part of it has never been in, at least when I went back to university, we didn't have that bit. But I'm seeing it now in courses. They're offering minor in behavioral psychology or consumer psychology, as they call it. So if you could add that on, Prav, would be great. I'll send my guys to you.
Got it. Let me just send the text to our curriculum team. I want to say two things. So I also teach at MIT. I teach in Malaysia, and I teach two things. I teach entrepreneurship, and I teach what we're going to call smart skills. I'll tell you that in a little bit. When I teach at MIT, especially in the executive education space, so for people like us, when I teach entrepreneurship, I have a lot of people from very large companies who are interested in entrepreneurship because they realize, just like you mentioned, that entrepreneurship is not a skill that you need if you're a startup founder or if you're an SME founder. That you need in very large organizations like yours, you need to think like an entrepreneur. Now, with all due respect to my country, which is Malaysia, I also pay taxes in this country, so I feel entitled to say a little bit about it. When I try to sell entrepreneurship to executive education here, people look at me and said, I'm not an entrepreneur. Why do I need to take entrepreneurship courses? And I'm like, well, because if you want to work for AmBank, for somebody as amazing as you, she's going to look for entrepreneurial skills. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to think like one. You have to be a human who wants to succeed in life to think like one. And then the second thing that I teach, and again, this is not a soft sale, it's actually a direct sale. Because I think if you know, one of my favorite expressions is, if you think education is expensive, you should try ignorance. So again, I think selling education is common sense. But one of the other things that I teach is a toolkit that I call the SMART toolkit. So all my life, I've heard about soft and hard skills. But you think about it, the word soft and hard are right, in a way, the opposite. So do you know when this concept was invented? It was invented in 1972 by a doctor in the US Army who noticed that different military staff has different skills. Some of them are very good at the hard stuff, which is, I guess, shooting people. And others were very good at communication, getting people motivated, dealing with the soft stuff, which is people stuff. Now, in my experience, when I talk to people like you, and I ask, how much of your time do you spend in your job dealing with the soft stuff, with the people stuff? The higher you go in your career, the more time you spend. I'm sure that you spend over 80% of your job dealing with people stuff, right? Which requires soft skills. But what exactly is soft about managing people, dealing with your board, managing domestic and international investment? There's nothing soft about it. So we call it smart skills. And the truth is that the opposite of soft is hard, which means that if you don't have soft skills, by default you have hard skills, but that's not true. But what's the opposite of smart? Okay, all the laughs know it, right? So if you don't have them, you're dumb. Let me just tell you that. I work with a lot of people, I can tell you that. But also I have a problem with with hard skills. Hard skills mean that it's something very hard. And by the way, your entire industry traditionally was hiring for hard skills, right? We look for engineers, we look for tech people, and now it turns out you also want people who are technical but also good with people. By the way, if you find one, I would like to marry that person because I think it's like impossible to find. So now we call those skills sharp skills because again, the truth is, if I learn a hard skills 20 years ago, it doesn't mean it's still available today or it's still relevant today. Somebody who learned a software language or whatever 5 years ago, it's completely obsolete today. So we call this sharp skills because the opposite of hard is soft, but the opposite of sharp is dull. Right, so let me just ask you, would you rather be dull and dumb or smart and sharp? Which again, can be combined. So when you talk about these things, this is what we are trying to teach at ASB. We're trying to teach smart skills and sharp skills, which are not in competition, which are not against each other. So speaking from your perspective, and looking at the type of skills that you would like to see in the ecosystem of Malaysia, what are you looking for? What would you like to see more? What do you think Malaysia should do more?
So in our line of doing work, we deal a lot with our ecosystem enablers. And when we talk about disruptive innovation, technology adoption, we see a lot of areas for improvement, be it from the multinational being the anchor companies or the supply chain vendor companies, or be it coming from even the stakeholders from the government. And also we also take note that supply of talent is also important. Of course, there's no hard way or one solution that fits all. in our policy that the government launched, we take note that there is a need to ensure adequate supply of future talent as well as equipping the current talent with industry-ready skill. So the things that we discuss, probably what to have entrepreneurial skill, soft skill, those are pretty much relevant because right now we are talking about technology adoption, digitalization, and those are dealing with agile skill. And we need all this because the speed of delivering all the service is important. So I pretty much look at problem solving skill, soft skill.
Not soft, smart.
Smart skill, sorry. And of course we have, the government has come up with a structured mechanism to address that, be it coming from the university, also working together with our ecosystem player, the training providers, to address the industry requirements. So, because if we wait until everything is ready, we cannot even move. And digital transformation or disruptive technology is not about it. So, if you don't start right now, you will not move it. You will not move.
I think somebody who thought in similar ways were the dinosaurs back in the days, right? When they sort of look and say, yeah, nothing is going to happen, we're big. How many dinosaurs have you seen roaming around lately? That's a telling story. So we have a bunch of questions. Thank you, everybody, for asking so many questions. Let me try to see. I'll go to you with the first question. Are Malaysian organizations skeptical about Malaysian tech solutions? They rather get solutions from IBM, Microsoft, SAP to play it safe. What can be done to change the mindset? Puva, let me start with you.
Okay, I don't think this is a Malaysian problem. Everybody looks for big brands. Now, the thing is, just like the banking example that we spoke about just now, everyone's comfortable with the giant, right? Because you think they'll never fail. But there's a lot of people who come up with nimble solutions around it. And if you ignore them, it's to your own peril. I know the Minister of Science has been talking a lot about going with Malaysian tech companies first. I don't think it's so much a rah-rah thing. There are a lot of good solutions that meet current business needs. And if we ignore them just because we're looking for a brand, I think it's to our peril. So it's not a Malaysian problem.
So we have a question, and I'm actually going to ask Raja this. How effective do you think new technology transformation enable microfinancing activities to support small-scale business? So we were talking before about how you would like to help more SMEs, how a lot of the things that happened actually during MCO with SMEs forced a lot of this transformative digital transformation, if you want. Would you want to take this question? So how effective would this new technology help small-scale businesses?
Actually, for us to really fuel micro SMEs in this country, digital technology is imperative. It's crucial because otherwise, if you are a micro SME, say you run a food truck, the example I gave you before, and you want to borrow money, and banks would typically ask you two things: show me your financial accounts, or can you put collateral on the table? How is this guy ever going to be able to do that? But on the other hand, for a bank, how can I then assess your credit worthiness? So if with the use of digital technology, largely using data, and we could use different kind of data, like transactional data, behavioral data, like if you're a food truck guy and I can capture all your customers' transaction data on, say, a POS system, and you make sure you go pay your chicken supplier or whoever it is through some kind of a mobile cash management solution, if we can capture that, including, say, how prompt you are in paying your utility bills, how prompt you are in paying your telephone bills, using different kind of data and pulling that together and to score you, that is really, I think, what this country needs. And I think everybody in this country is working bits and pieces of that, because if you look at SMEs, I don't know, we're like about 70% of our GDP is SMEs, and what I do know is that micro SMEs can only get funding from the banks. About 20% only of them can actually access funding, and it's not because we don't want to lend, we don't know how to score you. So this is where you talk about the advent of digital technology.
We have an interesting question here from Arifin. and actually brings me back to something that we talked yesterday about some of the positive case studies that we had maybe during the MCO about how technology can transform. Let me read exactly the question, and I'll ask our colleague from MIDA to react. Robots were initially designed to do 3D, which is dangerous, dirty, and dreary. Now they can do more personalized jobs such as assistance to take care of elderly, do surgery. Will robots take over humanity one day? I don't know, but if the job is easy, the people are not. Maybe robots will be easier. But yesterday we actually talked about some of the interesting things that you saw happening during MCO from this technology perspective. Would you like to react to this question and tell us some of the examples?
Okay. As much as I am a hardcore fan of Star Wars, Matrix, I don't believe this will happen soon. Robots will facilitate. No, we have to work in tandem with humans. Robots will take some of the hard work, but it has to be done in our own way. It's up to us. How do you want to find robots to complement our work? So even if robots does take away the 3D kind of work, it doesn't mean that it's not gone the job opportunities for our people. What we need to do is also to upskill and reskill our people. And in relation to what you mentioned just now, I've seen a lot of opportunities during MCO, during the initial phase, where we see a lot of difficulties and a lot of struggling situation from our frontliners in hospitals. And this is where we see, Malaysian come out together. It used to be Malaysian when we gang up together, particularly when Malaysia went to the final for football, or Lin Chow Wei go to final for badminton. But during COVID, we all stand united, and we see a lot of able and good people with good technology background came out with their own solution to facilitate or make ease of our frontliners. We've seen good example of researchers from universities building up their own robot version to facilitate our frontliners in hospital, in quarantine centers. All these are actually put in place and put in practice and in real situations. So those are that replacing human work? No, it has to work in tandem and complement the areas that we are not able to maximize or optimize our work. So good stuff happening. We are not lacking into the people. We have good talent and our industry already. It's just that COVID is putting a situation to accelerate and put a certain recognition to our capabilities.
I was very, very inspired by some of the global positive stories that came out after, during MCO and after MCO. And the truth is that, like you mentioned so well, in a way, this global crisis accelerated a lot of the disruptive innovations. Puva, we were talking in the break that you've been dealing with digital transformation for about 10 years, right? And in the past 3 months now, everybody wants to be digitally transformed. You want to tell us a little bit more about that? And then Raja, we have a question for you after that. Do we have any success stories of how to convert offline sales to online?
Yeah, so a lot of people talk about different tech, especially during the start of this crisis, pandemic, right? And when everyone had to start working from home. A lot of the tech was available for many, many years, right? What happened is people just became more efficient. And part of that efficiency is knowing exactly what they wanted, going out and getting it and using it to their advantage. So I thought people became better. It's not that tech became better.
And in a way, we became lower maintenance, right? A lot of the things that we felt like we needed to do before COVID, now we realize maybe we didn't need to do a lot of that. So Raja, let me go to you. Do we have any success stories of how to convert offline sales to online? This is from Setyawan.
Well, I don't profess to be a social media guru, but what we have seen, our customers particularly, is that we've seen the rise of a new group of entrepreneurs who are able to actually start selling their stuff, largely because they have online stores. So that is clearly I think the biggest success stories, we have a number of really small micro SMEs sprouting out, just using the Instagram account. They don't even sell through the bigger e-commerce platforms like Lazada. They're really on their own. And we've met some of them who actually started out with, selling, maybe a tudung or kueh, at a pop-up store. But then now, because there's social media and all that, they're actually able to then sell to all around the country. So there's just so many to speak of. So all you have to do is just have a look. I don't have the data, but I remember MDEC was sharing with me, the number of pure online now, just selling small stuff through their social media accounts. So if you want to sell stuff today, unlike those days, you need a shop. You can just go and open an IG and sell stuff.
I used to. I'm vegan. I only eat the vegetarian stuff. And before COVID, before the MCO, to be honest, I didn't know that we have farms in Cameroon that can deliver at home. Call that my ignorance, but I really didn't know. So when MCO started, my biggest panic was, so everybody during the first 2 weeks of MCO was buying beans and rice, which is, as a vegan, that's my bread and butter, if you want. All of a sudden, everybody realized that veggies are gonna get us through this. And then I started getting on Instagram this small ad saying, buy direct from Cameroon, buy this. I have to tell you now that, in a way, MCO, the traditional MCO is over. I still buy my stuff from my farmer in Cameroon. I have an amazing relationship with him. We've never met in person. We talk daily about, are the tomatoes plump? Yes, wait until you see the corn. So all of a sudden, my behavior changed, even post-COVID, because I realized that I can literally do from farm to table with one click. Isn't that amazing? So we actually have a really interesting question from Feroz on agri-tech. And you can take this question if you want, but I actually think it's a really good question for all of us. COVID taught us that we need to be self-sustainable. Ain't that true? So let's look at agriculture. Should Malaysia invest more in agri-tech and try to be more self-sustainable?
So, COVID teaches about the important needs of securing our food security. So we have situation where is our neighboring countries wanting to sell rice to us. So here in this today's topic, we talk about disruptive innovation, and this binds well with our new sector here. It's good that Malaysia has launched our industry forward policy meant to look into manufacturing related service sector. So along with that policy, we can have all the learning journey, or the good success story, what need to be done, and we're going to soon launch the fourth IR framework, blueprint framework. And in this relation, you look at disruptive technology. If in the future, if now is happening, if ride sharing is going to be the main thing, what happened to the situation where we have a lot of car parks area, a lot of buildings with car parks. So how do this transform into opportunity? With technology, I believe this can be done. I have seen pilot projects being done in relation to agri-tech, a combination of agriculture, hydroponics, IoT, connectivity, all this to ensure that our food security is being addressed for us in this country. So together with this, in agri-tech, we can also ensure that the people factor, the workers, sometimes we talk about agriculture is something that is not sexy for our younger generation. But with the agri-tech, agriculture can actually be done at outskirts of urban cities, or at buildings, at car parks, and this binds well with all the gig generation, right?
Anybody else? I see a lot of, you don't see it, but I see a lot of nodding and very enthusiastic support from the rest of the panelists. Any comments before we wrap it up? Puva, let me start with you.
So agri-tech, I think it's very important. Food security is important. I don't think we are very efficient. So I like the story about Cameron Highlands. a lot of people used to buy vegetables from wholesalers, right?
Yeah.
And the supply chain looked very complicated. I like the one click and you get your things here.
Yeah, in one click you can do a lot of things. Speaking of one click, we are 10 seconds away from finishing this. So in one click, we're gonna finish this session. Allow me to thank you once again for this transformative, disruptive panel. Thank you very much, The Star. We'll see you all very soon. And don't forget to like this talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you have enjoyed the panel discussion as much as we did. And I particularly enjoyed when you were talking about innovation and involving SMART, or previously known as soft skills. Do not get that wrong. Our moderator will bite you. Yeah, this idea of including soft skills or smart skills into traditionally hard or more technical aspects of the job, I think it's a really good discussion that we'll have towards bringing forward our systems to a more human-centric design. So that was very, very interesting coming from the panel. And I would would like to thank once again Professor Loredana Purvavasan, Rajate, and Nur Hizam for this great and insightful discussion. And it was most definitely my honor. I was able to sit in the corner there and listen to everything, so I'm happy. And thank you for staying with us until the end, ladies and gentlemen. And as a reward, as I mentioned earlier, we are giving away 4 exciting prizes every single day. So all you need to do is complete the short survey that will auto-pop as you exit WebEx. Your feedback means a lot to us, and we would love to continue in providing you the great experience for all of our future events, and maybe even for the next few days. So you will be notified on the winners of today in tomorrow's program. So we are also just getting started. So tomorrow's program, we have 3 more exciting sessions throughout the next 3 days. The CXO 2020 program is designed to spark conversations on key areas in driving disruptive innovation in the age of disruption. Tomorrow, we will talk about CEO agendas for the digital economy led by our knowledge partner, International Data Corporation, IDC. There will also be a fireside chat between our Terabyte partner, AVM Cloud, and the IT director of Mydin, followed with a panel discussion where a panel of industry-leading technology and digital leaders will share success stories and challenges in their journey of engineering the X factor for their businesses. Well, that was a mouthful, but honestly, I am really, really excited to see and listen and learn for the next 3 days. And if you want to learn more about our conference program for the CXO 2020 and also the profile of our speakers, or if you have not signed up for tomorrow's sessions I'm so excited that I'm out of breath. If you have not signed up for tomorrow's session, the session on Thursday and on Friday, you may scan the code or QR code on your screen, or you can visit bit.ly/star CXO 2020. That is bit.ly/STAR CXO 2020. You can also email us at events@thescar.com.my. Please also share this with your colleagues and friends. This whole entire program is about disruption, and if I were to borrow a reference from one of our panelists, there's the blue pill and there's the red pill. For the longest time, we have taken the blue pill and we have been very, very comfortable with how we're doing things. But this entire session is about taking the red pill, opening up your eyes to how we need to innovate and how we need to change. So I'm signing off right now, but this page will remain live in the next 10 to 15 minutes. And remember to complete the short survey as you exit WebEx and stand a chance to win one of our 4 exciting prizes. Thank you, and see you again tomorrow morning at 10.
Some people are calling this the new normal, but there's nothing normal about it. As the world's businesses begin to reopen, the question is, what can we learn from this? Perhaps today isn't a restart, it's a rethink. A time to take the things that are working and apply them to the new jobs that need to get done. Today, businesses are staying open in a world that feels closed. With the IBM Cloud, retailers can keep systems up as millions of orders move online. Data is being protected against new security risks. So at leading hospitals, private information can stay private, even while doctors are caring for patients from home. Businesses are being more responsive. With the help of scalable solutions on the IBM Cloud, financial advisors can process bank transfers remotely, securely. Today, supply chains are getting more intelligent, helping ship our produce, stock our stores, and fill our tables. Remote work is working smarter with IBM Watson, helping employees stay more productive and making parents even more proud. Customers are getting answers faster. With Watson Assistant, wait times are being cut from hours down to minutes, and companies are managing millions of calls, texts, and chats. Today, we are speeding our research and our recovery with help from all the developers who are answering the call. Today, we are rethinking how business moves forward, how the world moves forward. So let's get to it. Let's put smart to work.
Welcome to vibrant Malaysia. Strategically located in the heart of Asia with links to all parts of the world. Headed by a constitutional monarch. Governed by parliamentary democracy, where general elections are held every 5 years. The country enjoys decades of stability with the benefits of a broad-based economy powered by the private sector and a pro-business government. It's always summer in Malaysia, a country blessed with abundant natural resources and more. While rapidly developing, we continue to preserve our land, environment, heritage and values. They are all here in Malaysia, a country of many colors, races and cultures. Selamat datang. Welcome to Malaysia. Malaysia has transformed from a country dependent on agriculture and primary commodities to an export-driven economy, spurred by high technology, knowledge-based and capital-intensive industries toward a high-income nation. Many international corporations have made Malaysia their highly competitive offshore base. To date, more than 5,000 international companies from over 80 countries have established their regional and global operations in Malaysia. Companies in the manufacturing and services sectors continue to expand and diversify their operations. The combination of a stable political environment and a government that is responsive to private sector needs and supports and facilitates business. Malaysia's developed infrastructure has provided the requisite competitiveness to the business community. The Kuala Lumpur International Airports provide excellent facilities. The airports can accommodate up to 70 million passengers. And more than 12 million tons of cargo per year. In addition, 6 other international airports are strategically located to serve the regional needs. And the 7 major ports ensure the efficient movement of cargo as well as facilitate international trade. The improved rail system and the network of expressways ensure easy access to and from airports, seaports and urban centres. The government ensures that energy needs are adequately met, while broadcasting and telecommunications requirements are being served by the latest digital and fibre optics technology. For banking and financial services, local and foreign banks offer comprehensive and competitive packages. $11 million trainable and educated Malaysians support industry and trade, and annually about 250,000 young Malaysians enter the workforce. Many English language-based colleges, universities, technical and vocational institutions ensure the continuous supply of manpower needs.